All right.
Everything is being live streamed.
Okay. All right, we're successful. We're on YouTube.
So we're on YouTube. We're on Zoom.
And if you make me co-host again, that means I can record it to my cloud.
Would you like that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We also have Helen.
Helen, that's Len. He's
Okay.
waiting for us to get
Okay.
started. He doesn't need to be in yet.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Are you ready for me to open the doors then and let people come in and get set up?
We're not live yet, right?
We're live streaming right now on YouTube, but we're not recording.
Okay. Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Greg. One of these days, if I ever win the lottery, maybe. Well, okay, I told the same thing to Roxanne yesterday. And then Roxanne says, yeah, she said, I feel the same. She said, but we have to play first. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, you have to play to win. A lot of times.
I know. Okay. For years, some people. All right. Thank
Okay.
you. Go home.
Okay, so you good then, Marla?
I am good.
Okay, I think let's just record it,
Sure.
just in case.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. No, I'm good. Yeah, we're good. My phone's turned off. I got my criminal docket from yesterday, hot mess. We're good.
However good you can be, huh?
Yeah, we're good. I couldn't be.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. Just let me know if you need
Okay.
something. I'll run up, okay?
All right. Thank you.
And same here with you too.
Yeah, thanks, Grace.
All right.
Thank you so much.
you.
Appreciate that. It's good seeing you again. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go and get some water.
Okay. Elsa, do you need anything? Do you need stickies or a pen or paper?
I tend to carry more than I need.
Oh,
I like a cup of water. Thank you, Judge. I actually already refilled my thermos.
Okay.
Thank you. Excellent.
I have mints if you'd like some. Okay.
And I carry pulse drops,
Oh,
things like that.
yeah.
Every so often someone will have a
yeah.
cough.
Yes. Oh,
Just try to be a little, it makes my job easier too. I'm
Yeah.
sure you find that if
Yeah.
people aren't.
yeah.
clearing their throats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do the speakers amplify into that courtroom? Or is it only into the recording?
It's only into the recording, so it's not like a microphone. It's just yeah.
But that's being live streamed to YouTube, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
And then
those mics will pick up there.
yes, and then our recording system JAVS is what we use.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
So yeah, and so these microphones are JAV microphones, so it goes into our recording
Okay.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So it's not like a microphone you can talk into.
Yeah.
Or
That's
You
what
know,
I wondered.
project.
Some of the older courthouses still have that
yeah.
or have it as well, I guess. So. I am not on camera, am I?
No, the jury is not on camera. Our cameras are not set up for.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Now I just keep my mic off. My voice will be picked up.
Yes, yes. Mhm.
Okay, great.
To dress for the temperature change.
Yes, yes, yes. And they tend to keep these courtrooms cold.
Yeah, I remembered that, but then I didn't want to overdress
Yeah.
and be suffering.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
It's been years since I've been in here, so
Oh,
I remember it being, I sort of remember this being raised, but I might be, maybe I was just sitting up here. I think that
Oh.
might have been it.
well, this courtroom and courtroom 8 are kind of set up the same way. They're our two largest ones.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of what it's like in there too. But yeah. No, I'm sorry. Do you work in Lansing or?
I'm actually freelance.
Oh,
So,
how nice is that? Oh, that's good.
well, pros and cons, I think.
Yeah.
You know. Good morning, Judge.
It's so nice to meet you in person.
Nice to see you too. I hope your drive-in was okay.
I didn't hear you.
I hope your drive-in was okay.
Yes, it was raining, but
Yeah.
it's a familiar track. I used to have to drive here pretty frequently. This is my daughter, Simone.
Nice to meet you. My name is Elsa. I'm the court reporter.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Good morning, Ms. Feinberg.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
I'm not used to this kind of courtroom.
I know.
Which side is my side?
This
Hi.
is Marla.
Hi, Marla. I'm Laura. I'm one of the JTC employees. Which side does the plaintiff sit on?
Well, usually because of COVID, they've switched back and forth on me. So last jury trial, we had the plaintiff sat here.
Okay, that's good.
So
for
if
me.
you're okay with that.
Yep. How are you doing?
I'm just fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm good.
Good.
So in your trials, do the lawyers keep the masks on while they talk?
You know, it just goes by what the judges want, and I believe in this courtroom, you can take your mask off if you'd like. And I believe Elsa, did the judge say that you could take your masks off?
I don't know for everybody. I
Okay.
think because the witness is here. I know.
Okay.
And my understanding, I think it was mentioned, the question would be from there and it's far enough away.
Yes, yes.
So we
Okay.
should clarify with
Yeah.
Judge too.
And then, I'm sorry, are you going to participate in the hearing? You're going to be speaking?
Yes.
So the way our microphones are set up in here, when you are talking, if you could come to the podium, and then of course,
Okay.
when you're in here, you can take your mask off.
Okay, sure.
But if you sit here, there is a microphone right there, but it seems to project out, so we get a better
Okay, so
recording here.
what about for objections? Do I do that from here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, yes. But if
Okay.
you're,
Speaking, yeah.
speaking, yeah.
Okay, got it.
And
Thank
then-
you. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. Morning.
Nice to see you in person.
I know. It's good to see you also.
So how long were you a judge at 14A? Are you,
Just one term.
oh, okay.
I was appointed in 1994.
Okay.
So I would have run that number,
Uh-huh.
but I decided I wanted to see.
Yeah. That's great.
come up.
And I hope you don't mind, Judge, but the last hearing that we had in this courtroom, we had the plaintiff sit here and the defendant sit over there. But if you change it, however you, yeah, okay, okay,
You have the plaintiff's right here?
right, on this, yeah,
This-
closest to the recorder, yes.
Yes, yes, no, that's fine.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Ashcraft. How are you today?
Well, thank you. It's good to see
Good.
you.
Thank you. Good morning, Judge Green. How are you? I understand the protocols of this courthouse are that we keep our mask on. However, in this building, in this room, they've already put up the shields and whatnot. So if you all are comfortable with not using your mask, especially when you're standing behind the podium or any other time, that's fine. I've talked with Ms. Jorgensen. So this is the way she and I are going to be. Does that work for you? Works.
So that would be wonderful.
All right.
As long as no objection, thank you.
And sir, I'm sorry.
Good morning.
Good morning. When you're speaking, if you could come to the podium, our microphone will pick you up there. It seems to project out.
Understood. I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ashcraft, are your witnesses all here and waiting outside to be called in, or what is the
Yes,
situation?
Judge. We have two witnesses today. I received a call late yesterday afternoon from our first witness, who is an assistant principal at the school. And she indicated that she had a problem with being here first thing this morning because the principal was going to be off-site today.
Mhm.
And as a result, the assistant principal has to be on site. Their school has more than 500 students.
Okay.
So I indicated that we could move her to the first witness on the 19th when we roll into that, and she appreciated that. So as a result, we have two people today. They're both here. One is in the courtroom now, and the other is outside.
All right. And the one in the courtroom now, obviously, is going to be your first witness.
That's correct, Judge.
All right. We will be live streaming this. In fact, the live stream is on, but we haven't started recording yet and don't have our videos on, so we will be doing that. Is there anything that we need to do before we get started with that, counsel?
No,
I don't believe so, Judge.
All right, all right. Well, let me just. Good morning. This is Judge Betty Rankin-Widgeon. I'm the appointed master for this matter. That is formal complaint number 103. At this time, counsel, would you please place your name for the record?
good morning, Your Honor. Laura Weingarten. I am one of two disciplinary co-counsels, but my co-counsel will be attending by Zoom.
Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor. Michael Ashcraft on behalf of Respondent Judge Tracy Green.
Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tracy Green.
Thank you, Judge Green. You may be seated.
Thank you.
And if I might, Judge, hi, this is Lynn Howland, and I'm listening, but at this point, I am not able to see anything. The screen seems to be blank.
All right, one moment. And Mr. Helen, you're still unable to see anything?
I am. It's just a blue screen.
Mr. Helland, this is the court recorder for Washtenaw County. If you could please start your video.
Okay.
Can you see Judge Widgeon now? I
see Judge Widgeon. I see nothing in the courtroom.
Okay. That's our video. Okay, let me see if I can get,
The courtroom video going.
yeah. Actually, could I have one of the counsel please speak into a microphone, see if it,
Yes, I'll do it.
And I do
Good
hear
morning, Mr.
everybody.
Helen. Can you hear me?
I do. I've been hearing everybody. That's working well. And I guess if worse comes to worse, I can just listen, but I'm not able to see anything in the courtroom. I do see Judge
All
Witch.
right. Okay, so let me get our court IT up here to see if they can fix the camera. He can hear we're recording if you'd like to continue or if you'd like to wait. Okay.
Judge, I hate to be the cause of delaying the proceedings, especially since I opted to be here and I can hear. So if you would like to start, that's totally fine with me. I just thought I'd let you know that the public can't see.
I think that is what we want the public to be able to see. So we are going to get IT in here. Thank you. Thank you for alerting us to that.
I have someone coming up right now.
Thank you.
Okay, so we still have this blue screen, and this is what the public is seeing in the courtroom. That they're just seeing a blue screen. They're not seeing the actual courtroom. The one participant that we have that is on Zoom, when he turns his camera on, he can see the judge when she's speaking, but when counsel is speaking, it goes right back to the blue screen. So I'm not sure. So I got into Zoom, the original settings, and
when people talk in here, are the cameras moving?
the cameras are moving on Javs, but
Mhm.
this is our Javs camera for the courtroom.
And we're on video conference.
Yep. So I put a help desk.
And you're recording.
Yep, I'm recording. Let me go back to Zoom.
So we're not on any locked.
Correct.
Text Greg.
I just sent him a help desk ticket. Okay, so if I do this, hosting it with visual on, right?
Yeah. Well, that doesn't matter because that's you don't have
Right.
camera
I don't
on your
have
thing.
right.
I don't think it's Zoom.
Is it? Oh, it's Jab.
I think it's Jab. All right, can we stop Jab and then and get out of it and then try to go back in.
Sure.
And you didn't, did you?
Did not know.
Okay.
You don't think anybody else?
I don't know. It looks like it's cut in.
Yeah. I know that when Judge Conley gets done with her dockets, she gets up and cuts it. You know,
Oh, I can't tell if it's because it's not lit up and I don't know if it's supposed to be. How are you?
we're not recording. We're trying to get the key.
Oh, and is it still blue screen?
This just came in. I trust that you've already seen it, but I just got it today.
Yeah, it's still blue screen.
You're welcome.
Oh, very much. Yep. Auto
All right, let me, he didn't respond to my text either. Let me run downstairs.
Okay.
While we are waiting, counsel, would you please approach?
She wants us to approach.
Blue screen or is it facing Zoom?
Well, this is what people are seeing.
I just received this and wanted you to see a copy of it.
Right.
Maybe you've already seen it.
They emailed it to us.
Okay, all right, I just didn't
I have
know.
not, have no idea what it means. It doesn't appear to mean anything to us.
I don't know what it means.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you,
because
Judge.
then when you lay hand, the camera switched
Yeah.
hands, and I switched it to 2 and then put the remote
Yeah.
control down, and it just automatically.
Okay.
We were all set, Judge. Sorry about that.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we're good. Let me just make sure he can see if you don't mind. Mr.
Yeah.
Howland,
I can.
this is the court recorder. Can you
Yes.
see the courtroom
can.
now?
I can. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
thank you so much. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. This is Judge Betty Widgeon. I am the appointed master for this matter. Formal complaint number 103. Counsel, please state your names for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Laura Weingarten on behalf of the, I'm one of the 2 disciplinary co-counsels. My other co-counsel is on Zoom.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor. Michael Ashcraft on behalf of respondent, Judge Tracy Green.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Helland, if you'd like to state your name, you may do that too.
Yes, hi, this is Lynn Helland. I am disciplinary counsel.
All right, thank you. Counsel, are we ready to proceed with the witnesses for respondent?
Yes, ready to proceed, Judge.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ashcraft, please call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Respondent calls Simone Head.
Thank you. Ms. Head, if you'll take the witness stand to my left. All right, now I'm going to swear you in. Maybe just keep standing just so we can see you as I'm swearing you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
I do.
Thank you. Also, you may be seated at this point. You are under a sequestration order. All witnesses are in this matter, and I need to read this to you. Sequestration includes a prohibition on any witness except while testifying via Zoom. Of course, you're not testifying via Zoom, but a prohibition on any witness to discussing your testimony in any format or by any means with another witness, from viewing the proceedings on any device, from listening to the proceedings on any device, or accessing or viewing any information about the proceedings via any social media or news outlets. You may discuss the pending formal complaint with counsel for the parties, and you may be shown exhibits by counsel prior to their testimony. A failure of any of the parties to serve this order or a violation of the order by a witness is grounds to exclude a witness or to exclude testimony given by that witness before the discovery or the failure or the violation. Do you have any questions regarding sequestration?
No.
All right, and you'll probably have to speak up. Your voice is kind of soft. And
Sorry.
and you may take your mask off while you're testifying. All right, what is your name?
Simone.
Full name?
Simone Clotio-Head.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ashcraft?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Simone.
Good morning.
I want to start with a difficult question today, and it's one a gentleman does not ask, but I'm going to have to ask anyway. Can you please tell us how old you are?
I'm 19. I turn 20 next month.
Thank you. And I understand that you're a student.
I am.
If you would please tell us about that.
I'm a junior majoring in theater performance with a concentration in acting and a minor in creative writing.
And where do you go to school?
The University of Michigan.
And do you live on campus?
Yes, I live off campus, but yes.
Close to campus, but off.
Yes.
Understood. And you indicated your field of study was?
Theater performance with a concentration in acting and a minor in creative writing.
Thank you. Tell us, if you would please, how you know Tracy Green.
She's my mom.
And do you know Andre Green?
Yes.
Tell us who that is.
He's my dad.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have 5 brothers and 1 sister.
And other than when you're living just off campus, where do you live?
I live with my mom and dad
And how long have you lived with your mom and dad?
my whole life.
And where do you live with your folks?
In Detroit,
What's the address?
18005 Warrington Drive, Detroit, Michigan 48221.
And do you know Gary Davis Head Jr.?
Yes,
And how do you know Gary Jr.?
he's my nephew.
And do you know Russell Davis Head?
Yes, I do.
And how do you know him?
He's my nephew as well.
How long have you known Gary Jr. and Russell?
Since they were born.
If you would please describe for us your relationship with Gary Jr. and Russell. And I may say periodically during my questioning, I may refer to them as the boys. So if I do that, you know that I'm making reference to Gary Jr. and Russell.
Yes, I love them. They're my nephews, and they're kind of like my little brothers too, because I basically grew up with them as well. I spent a lot of time with them from the time that they were born, because my brothers are a lot older than me, so it was mainly like my job to watch them. And I miss them a lot.
Okay. When you say you miss them a lot, what do you mean?
I haven't been able to see them since the summer before my senior year of high school.
And when was that?
It was 2018.
And do you know why you haven't been able to see them?
I know that they were taken away from my brother's custody. It happened when I was at a summer camp, like performing arts training summer camp. So I just knew, like, I saw them before and couldn't see them after that.
Have they reached out to you since that time?
No.
Have you been able to reach out to them?
No, Gary Jr., he reached out to my mom, and then eventually I talked to him for a little bit, but not for long. Russell, I don't know.
And have you had opportunity over the years to observe your mom's relationship with the boys?
Yeah, she's always very loving to them, and they received it very well.
Did the boys ever live with you and your mom and dad?
No, not live. They visited a lot.
Tell us about that.
It was mainly me spending a lot of time with them. We'd watch movies together, play games. movies, eat junk food, you know. Yeah, it was a good time.
Did they visit your home specifically?
Yes,
How often did that occur?
at least every other weekend. At one point in time, it was probably every weekend.
And these visits, did you engage in different activities?
Yes, we'd go to the movies, the park, drive-ins, or we just stay at home and watch a lot of like cartoons and entertainment and stuff like that.
Who would participate in these activities with the boys when they would come over?
Me, my mom, and my dad.
And did the boys sleep over at your home?
Yes.
And how often did that occur?
When they would visit every other weekend, it was mainly like the entire weekend. So.
Did you ever observe the boys bickering or teasing each other?
Yes.
Tell us about that, please.
Well, I remember it mainly starting when they weren't seeing their mom. I always thought they were just kind of taking it out on each other, their frustration and not being able to see her. So.
And was this something that occurred rarely or often?
Oh, it was often. They started off just really small, like little things like Russell did this or Gary did this. And they were usually able to resolve it pretty quickly, but it happened often.
Now, did you ever observe your brother Gary Sr. use corporal punishment on the boys?
No.
Did you ever observe your mom use corporal punishment on the boys?
No.
Or your dad?
No.
I'm going to ask you a hard question. Did you ever observe or see any marks on the bodies of the boys?
No, I did not.
And specifically, I'm talking about marks that would have led you to conclude that maybe there was physical abuse.
No, I did not.
Did you ever observe any marks on either of the boys' faces?
No, I did not. Sorry.
Now, you've obviously known your mom your entire life.
Yes.
And you've lived with your mom but for your time at the University of Michigan.
Correct.
Is your mom a woman of faith?
Yes, absolutely.
Could you please tell us about that, Simone?
Objection, relevance.
Response?
Judge, it's relevant because we've had witnesses already testify that the boys spent time at church and specifically related to practicing their faith. Judge Green would take them to church, get them involved in activities specifically. This is additional context with regard to that, and also leads to issues with regard to her character and reputation, which I'll ask about shortly as well.
Further objection?
Yes, Judge, one who attends church and has faith is not necessarily a truth teller. It does not help Your Honor determine credibility.
All right, thank you. I will allow some questions in this area. Mr. Ashcraft, continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Simone, if you could share with us what you've observed in terms of your mom being a person of faith.
Yes, I always tell my mom I think she's the blueprint for faith. She's definitely inspired me in terms of seeking the Lord because of how she leads her life with love. And I especially enjoy how she engages with people, and I've always wanted to be like that, and how she has a relationship with God and is able to give that away to other people when she's talking to them and just trying to live the life that we're called to live.
And do you attend church?
I do.
Is it the same church where your mom attends?
I just recently stopped attending the same church. I serve at a different church, but she encouraged me to serve. So.
And have you, prior to changing to the new church, did you worship with your mom at her church?
Yes, I did.
And did you observe your mom during the times that she was at church?
Yes, I did.
Did you ever hear anyone at church make comments about your mother?
Yes, they're all good.
Objection to the comments. The yes was fine. Otherwise, it's hearsay.
Response, if any?
Judge, this is going specifically now into whether she's observed character in among the community that she was in at the church.
Objection to the hearsay is sustained.
Thank you, Judge. In the time that you have obviously known your mother, have you developed your own opinion with regard to her character?
Yes.
If you would please share your opinion with regard to your mom's character.
I think she has the best character I've ever experienced. She's my favorite person.
Could you tell us a little bit about the details of what you've observed as relates to her character attributes?
Sure, she's very kind, honest, loving, nurturing, persistent, encouraging, resilient, brave, ambitious, strong. I think there's a lot I could say, but I think those are the main ones for sure.
Thank you. What about her character attributes as relate to honesty and truthfulness?
My mom is a very honest person. And I think when I would lie growing up and she would catch me, she would always remind me of like the necessity of telling the truth and how important it is, especially as a Christ representative. So yeah, she's always been truthful, and I've always gone to her knowing that she would tell me the truth, even if it was hurtful.
Thank you very much, Simone. I don't have any further questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross-examination, if any.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Head, my name is Laura Weingarten. Were you aware that I wanted to interview you before you testified today?
Yes.
How did you learn that?
Mr. Ashcraft asked if I wanted to speak to you.
What was your response to my request?
No,
Why didn't you want to talk to me?
I didn't see how that would be beneficial to me.
Did your mother tell you you shouldn't talk to me?
No.
Did Mr. Ashcraft tell you you shouldn't talk to me?
No.
It goes without saying that you love your mother, right?
Right.
Does it also go without saying that you love your brother, Gary Davis Head?
Yes, I do.
How many years are between you and your brother, Gary Davis Head?
Right, I think 13. I forget how many years.
Did you live together when you were children?
Yes, but I don't really remember because he's a lot older.
Do you know how old he was when he moved out of your family home?
No, I don't remember.
Do you know if when he moved out, did he ever move back in?
I don't think so, not permanently.
Did you ever witness him involved in episodes of violence with anybody?
I witnessed Katie be pushed into a chair, but I didn't see him actually do the pushing. I just saw the response, because I just saw the chair.
So you saw Katie fall into a chair? You have to say yes or no.
Yes, it's her.
And who pushed her into the chair?
I assume it was Davey.
Why do you assume that?
He was the only one in the room.
Who else was in the room when that happened?
Nobody. I was coming down the stairs.
How old were you when that happened?
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Was it when you were in college?
No, I believe it was in high school. Wait, no. Middle or high school. Their relationship to me is very fuzzy. I'm sorry.
So you told us you graduated high school in 2018?
I graduated in 2019.
2019. So if it happened while you were in high school, is it fair to say it happened sometime between 2015 and 2019?
Yes, if they were together during that time. I'm sorry.
Did you tell anyone that you saw your brother push Katie into a chair?
I told my brother.
And your mother is Tracy Green?
I said my brother.
Oh, brother, I'm sorry. What's your brother's name?
Gary Davis Head. I told him I saw him push. Well, I told him I saw Katie be pushed.
All right. Besides telling your brother Gary Davis Head that you saw this, did you tell anyone else that you saw this?
I might have told my mother. I don't remember that.
Do you remember what her reaction was?
I don't remember the conversation, so I don't know.
Did you see Gary Davis Head be violent to anybody else besides the incident you just told us about?
Objection, Your Honor, foundation.
Response.
If the foundation is that there wasn't an episode of violence, she testified he pushed her into a chair. That's a violent act.
Continuing objection, if any?
Yes, Judge, it mischaracterizes the testimony. That's not what you testified to.
Anything further, Ms. Weingarten?
No.
Objection is overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have you ever seen Gary Davis Head be violent with anybody?
No, I don't think so.
A little louder, please.
No, I don't think so.
Did you ever see him hit or strike Corey Bressler
No,
or China Pro Grace
no,
or any other incidents of Katie Davis Head being struck?
no,
Have you observed Gary Davis Head discipline his children?
no,
Did you ever see the children act up or misbehave in front of Gary Davis Head?
yes.
How did Gary Davis Head discipline his children?
He would yell at them or tell them to stop, depending on the act.
When is the last time you spoke with Russell?
Probably before my senior year of high school.
So that would be in,
2018.
starting in the fall of 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no other questions, but I'd like an opportunity to call Mr. Helen and see if he has anything he wants me to add. Could I step out in the hallway for a moment?
Yes, you may do that.
I'm just gonna grab my mask.
All right.
Your Honor, I have no other questions.
Thank you. Mr. Ashcraft, any additional questions for this witness?
No additional questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
May this witness be excused and released.
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And Mr. Ashcraft, we will be ready for your next witness as soon as you're able to get that person inside the courtroom.
May I go the hallway,
Please.
please?
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
Up here to my left, please. I'm going to start by swearing you in. You may take your mask off while you're testifying. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
I do.
Thank you. What is your name?
Andre Green.
All right, and Mr. Green, I have a couple of other things to go over with you. And before I do, counsel, are you both agreed to the previous witness remaining in the courtroom?
I have no objection.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I have no objection, Judge.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
This has to do with sequestration, and the order reads that sequestration will remain in effect until the witnesses are released from it by the master or until the proceedings before the master conclude. To be clear, this means that the order remains in effect even after the witness testifies unless the witness is released by the master. Sequestration includes a prohibition on any witness from discussing his testimony in any format or by any means with another witness, viewing the proceedings on any device, listening to the proceedings on any device, or accessing or viewing any information about the proceedings via any social media or news outlets. Potential witnesses may discuss the pending formal complaint with counsel for the parties and may be exhibits by counsel prior to their testimony. A failure of any party to serve the order or a violation of the order by a witness is grounds to exclude a witness or to exclude testimony given by that witness before the discovery of the failure or violation. Do you have any questions regarding sequestration?
No.
All right, thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Ashcraft?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Green.
Good morning.
You know Tracy Green.
I do.
If you would kindly tell us how you know Tracy Green
She is my beloved wife.
and how long have you been married?
It'll be 16 years on December 16th of this year.
Do you have any children?
We have 5 between us.
If you would share with us their names.
Gary, Brandon, Travis, Justin, and our baby Simone.
Do you have any grandchildren?
Yes, we do.
How many?
7 now.
Tell us their names.
Pardon?
Tell us their names, please.
Okay. Gary Jr., Russell, Daniel, Kaylin, Daisy. The 2 newest ones are Ziggy and Julie.
Thank you. And where do you live, Mr. Green?
Where we live,
Yes, sir.
in Northwest Detroit.
And you've lived with Tracy the entire time that you've lived in Northwest Detroit?
Yes,
And you indicated that Gary Jr. and Russell are 2 of your grandsons?
correct.
And how long have you known them?
All their lives since the day they were born.
If you would share with us your relationship with the boys. And if I refer to the boys, I'm talking about Gary Jr. and Russell in particular.
Sure. We had fun together. I was Papa. I am Papa. So all of them. And they would visit quite often. We would just hang around the house, play out in the yard. If it struck me, I would get them out there in the yard raking leaves, helping me do whatever we needed to do. Or we just sit around watching movies or helping with homework, or sometimes they wouldn't, very often we wouldn't interact at all. They would just be running around the house, being children, being boys.
Have you had occasion to observe Tracy's relationship with the boys?
Absolutely.
Tell us about that, please.
Their interactions were always loving and caring and intentional. They relied on their grandmother to give them a sense of comfort with respect to, their circumstance. The fact that when we were seeing them, they had not had contact with their own mother for quite a while. So they were always inquiring as to, what their status or disposition is with their mom. They miss their mom. And so they would talk to my wife quite often about how they were feeling about the reality.
Did the boys ever live with you and Tracy?
No,
Did the boys ever visit with you and Tracy for overnights?
sure,
How often would that occur?
quite often, multiple times a week, weekends. It became a non-event in terms of, whether the frequency became a non-event, in terms of whether they were there or not. It was, hey, it's, the boys are here. Oh, okay, cool. All right, all right.
During your time that you have spent with the boys, did you ever observe them bickering or teasing one another?
Yes, on occasion.
Tell us about that.
Well, they weren't, they weren't over the top with it, with either of them, with each other. They were actually very close, based on my observation. It was clear that Gary Jr. was the leader. Russell would follow very closely behind his big brother, and but don't mess around with Russell for quite a. Russell could give it back, and would. So bickering was being so close in age, it never got out of hand. It was, and if it did, it was quickly dealt with.
Did you ever observe Gary Sr. use corporal punishment on the boys?
I had never observed that.
Have you ever used corporal punishment on the boys?
I have not.
Have you ever observed Tracy use corporal punishment on the boys?
Not at all.
I'm going to ask a tough question, Mr. Green. Did you ever observe any marks on the boys' bodies that would have led you to conclude that they had been physically abused?
Never.
Did you ever observe any marks on their faces?
No.
If you had observed such a mark, what would you have done?
Objection, speculation.
Response?
I'll withdraw the question, Judge.
All right.
Were you aware of a custody order that prohibited corporal punishment on the boys?
Just a second. Mr. Green, make sure you wait until he completes his question. You may know what he is about to say, but I don't, so. All right, go ahead.
Thank
One
you,
of-
Judge. I'll just restate it to make sure that we got it.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Ashcraft, if you want to remove your mask, you certainly may during your,
Yeah, that's helpful.
all right.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Green, I was asking you if you were aware of a custody order that prohibited corporal punishment being used with the boys.
I am aware.
And how were you aware of that?
Well, I knew the outcome of the custody case. I'm sure my wife and I discussed it. I don't know if I ever actually read the order, but I was quite well aware of its conditions.
And were you ever aware or made known of corporal punishment being used on the boys by anyone after that order was entered?
Can you restate?
Sure. You were aware that the parents of the boys were prohibited from using corporal punishment specifically after the entry of that custody order. My question for you is, did you ever become aware after that time of the parents using corporal punishment?
Yes.
What did you know?
I knew that one of them had been hit in the eye, and I knew about the spanking on the day that they were removed from their dad.
Okay. Tell us about the issue or the incident with the eye.
The details are foggy, but I just remember that Gary Jr. had been hit in the eye, I believe by his mom. I believe that.
Objection, foundation.
Mr. Ashcraft?
I'll try to lay a foundation, Judge.
All right.
When you say believed by your mom, what did you learn or what do you base that belief upon?
It's pretty sketchy.
I'm sorry, I just didn't hear that.
It's pretty sketchy. I'm trying.
Pretty sketchy, all right.
Yes. Um, yeah, I'm not recalling well enough to speak to it.
Okay. Second, you mentioned aware of spankings. Tell us about that, please.
So I was aware that when we were called, we were at a church on, I believe, June 24th of 18. We were downriver at a church and we were called by our son Gary Sr., who alerted us that the police and CPS were at the home because they were trying to take the boys, take all the children because he had spanked them.
Okay. Is that the extent of your knowledge with regard to that?
As far as them being spanked itself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. You and Tracy worship together at church?
Yes, we do.
And do you consider your wife to be a woman of faith?
Absolutely.
If you would please tell us about that.
Well, how much time do we have? My wife is a pillar of faith. Her faith informs almost every decision she makes. It does more than that though. She really does rely on it as a measure of where she is in her own life, where she is in her relationships with the closest ones to her, with me. She has been my example of faith in action. She has, in our relationship, she has modeled faith before me, and I credit her with my own, to the extent that I have a strong faith. I know I do because she's blessed me by being my wife.
And you've worshiped together for how many years at your current church?
As a married couple?
Yes.
17 years. But we were members of that church prior to our marriage.
For how many years? Let me ask a better question, Mr. Green.
Okay.
For how many years did you worship together at the church before you were a married couple?
At least 10 years.
And during this period of time that you shared with us, have you had occasion to observe Tracy at the church with other church family members?
Sure.
Have you had occasion to hear comments made about Tracy by church family members?
Sure.
And what have you heard in that respect?
Everybody has the same thing to say. She's a wonderful child of God. She's a worshiper. She's a believer. She's genuine. She's caring and kind. She represents Jesus, our Savior, very well.
In the time that you have been married to Tracy, as well as the years before that when you knew her, have you had occasion to develop your own opinion with regard to her character attributes?
Absolutely.
If you would please share your observation in that respect.
So, and I'm not being hyperbolic when I say this, but my wife is the best person I know. She is of the highest character. She does not lie. She does not abide liars. She does not like bullies. She will defend. She will defend you. She believes that everybody, and she believes that her work is informed by her faith as well, and she's guided by her strong belief. And when she was a lawyer, she represented her clients in that regard very seriously.
Thank you. Mr. Green, I'm not sure I asked, but I would like to know, what do you do for a living, sir?
I'm an IT manager at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Weingarten?
Good morning, Mr. Green.
Good morning.
Were you aware that I wanted to interview you before you testified today?
I was,
How did you learn that?
Mr.
Ashcraft?
Ashcraft informed me of that.
What was your response to my request?
It was no.
Why was that?
I saw no point.
Did your wife tell you you shouldn't talk to me?
Not at all.
Did Mr. Ashcraft tell you you shouldn't talk to me?
Not at all.
So you told us on your direct examination that Tracy Green was very good to the boys. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And did you see how they reacted to her?
Sure.
Did they appear to love her?
Absolutely.
And did they appear to trust her and confide in her?
Yes.
Did they give her hugs and kisses?
All the time.
And of course, you love your wife, right?
Sure.
Do you love your stepson? Or I'm sorry, is Gary Davis Head your son or stepson?
He's my stepson.
Do you love him?
Sure. Absolutely.
How old was he when he moved out of your home?
Which time?
Well, let's start with the first time.
When he got married at 18, so he moved out then.
And then did he ever move back in with you?
Yes.
How many different times, if you can recall?
At least 3.
How old was he when he last lived with you?
Maybe 22, 21, 22.
Were you aware that he had two former wives?
Am I aware of that?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
You know that he was at one point married to Corey Bressler?
Yes.
And you also know that he was married to Katie Davis Head?
Yes.
Do you know that he had at least one child with a woman named China Progress?
Yes.
Were there other women that he was involved with that you were aware of?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Did you witness any episodes of violence between Gary Davis Head and any women?
No.
When was the last time you spoke with Gary Jr.?
He called the house back in the summer, I believe, and we talked about coding. He was interested in coding.
Talked about
Coding.
coding. Thank you.
Was last summer the last time you talked with Gary Jr.?
I haven't talked to him since I last remember talking to him, so yes.
And when was the last time you spoke with Russell?
I have not spoken to Russell since before he was removed from his dad's home.
Do you know a media specialist or representative named Darcy?
Yes, I do.
What is her last name?
McConnell.
How do you know her?
She's been my client for a number of years. I've provided IT support for her for her firm for a number of years, and that's how I know.
What kind of firm is she involved in?
Public relations, crisis management, political consulting, that type of thing.
Did you or Tracy Green or both of you hire Darcy McConnell before she was interviewed by M.L. Elric from Fox 2 News?
Yes.
And did you attend the interview that he did with your wife?
I did not.
Did Darcy McConnell attend, if you know?
I believe she did.
Now, you've testified that your wife is a very honest person. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Before you formed your opinion that she's an honest person, did you know that she put makeup on one of the boys' faces to cover injuries she knew were inflicted by their father?
She did not.
Well, that wasn't my question. But okay, let me go back. Did you say that she did not put makeup on injuries that she knew were inflicted by their father?
No, I didn't say that.
What did you say?
she did not put makeup on Gary Jr. for the purpose that you just indicated.
Well, my question was, did you know that she put makeup on Gary Jr.'s face to cover injuries she knew were inflicted by their father?
I don't know that she put makeup on it to cover up whatever Gary did, but I knew she put makeup on it to make Gary Jr. feel better.
Were you present when this occurred?
I was in the home, but I wasn't directly engaged in the matter.
Why do you think that the makeup would make Gary Jr. feel better?
Why do I think that?
Well, you testified to that a moment ago, right?
That's why she did. That's what she would do. She would, my wife is caring and loving enough, especially to her grandchildren, that if any one of them didn't have to be Gary Jr., it could be any one of them. If they were suffering or if she perceived that they were suffering, even in the slightest, she would do whatever she felt was reasonable to make them feel better. And as I understand it, Russell was teasing Gary Jr. and it was reported to my wife, and she took action by trying to conceal it to make him feel better.
Now, you never heard Russell teasing Gary, did you, about that?
Not about that. It was so insignificant. I don't think it would have risen. It was boy stuff.
Did Tracy Green tell you she put makeup on Gary to make him feel better?
No, she wouldn't have told me that. She would have just done it and carried on.
So how do you know this happened?
Because I know the facts of this whatever we've been doing for the last 3 years.
All right. So before you formed your opinion of whether she was a truthful person, did you know that she said under oath, that she concealed the injury with makeup, but did not tell CPS that she covered the makeup? Let me say that again, straight back. Did you know that she said under oath that she concealed the injury with makeup, but that she did not tell CPS she had done so?
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes.
It mischaracterizes the testimony. There's been no evidence that Judge Tracy Green concealed an injury. The only thing that's in this record is that she applied makeup to a handprint left on a cheek.
Thank you. Response?
Judge, it's a matter of semantics, but to avoid the problem, I'll rephrase the question.
Thank you.
Mr. Green, were you aware that Judge Green said under oath that she concealed a handprint with makeup, but that she did not tell CPS she had done that?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Were you aware that she signed an answer to the complaint under the penalty of perjury and now claims that she's not certain something she said five times under oath was true?
Am I aware?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
If you were aware of that, and if you were aware that she did not tell CPS that she put makeup on a handprint, does that change your opinion about your wife's honesty?
Not at all.
Is it fair to say that there's almost nothing that could change your opinion of your wife's honesty?
No, I'm not saying that either.
Now, you told us you were aware that there was a custody order prohibiting corporal punishment on the boys by either of their parents. Is that right?
Correct.
And you said you and your wife discussed it. Is that right?
I don't think I said that me and my wife discussed it. I'm sure I was generally aware. I said I don't remember if I read the order, the custody order itself, but I was quite aware of the corporal punishment condition.
And your wife was aware of that too, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And the two of you discussed the fact that the children cannot be physically disciplined. Is that fair to say?
I don't know that we had a separate breakout conversation about it. I mean, it was pretty clear to us what the conditions were. And
how do you know that it was clear to Judge Green what the conditions were?
Because she can read.
Did you see her read the court order?
I didn't actually see her do it, but I know she read it. I mean, she read it.
I'm moving on now to June 24th of 2018, when you say that Gary Davis had called you to tell you that the police and CPS were at his home.
Yes.
And he told you that there were spankings that went on?
No, he didn't actually tell me that. He told me that CPS and the cops were at his home to take the kids and we should come right away. So there wasn't a whole lot of time for trying to find out what had happened. But once we got there, we learned that he had physically disciplined the children, and it was called in. And
How did you learn that?
on the scene, talking to the police officers and the CPS team who was there. You talk when you enter a situation like that, so you get information.
Earlier today, did you testify that you were aware that there were spankings that day?
I was not aware of the spankings before we showed up at the scene after we were called.
Right, but once you got there, you testified that you learned that there were spankings that day. Is that what you testified to earlier?
At some point after we arrived at 12730 Manor, I learned that the children had been spanked by their dad.
Do you know who told you that?
I don't remember.
Are you aware now that it was much more than a spanking?
No, I'm not.
Are you aware that it was a beating?
No, I'm not. And I don't know the distinction between the spanking and the beating.
Did you ever see photographs of the children's injuries?
No.
Were you part of the juvenile court or criminal court hearings in this case, in the case involving Gary Davis Head?
The juvenile, I was involved in his custody case.
Okay, that's not what I'm asking about, because the custody case happened in 2014 and 15, correct?
Right.
I'm asking about if you were involved in the criminal case or the juvenile cases that occurred in 2019 or 2020.
No, I was not.
Your Honor, may I have a moment to call Mr. Helen from the hallway?
Yes, you may.
Your Honor, I have no other questions.
Thank you. Mr. Ashcraft, any redirect?
Yes, Judge, thank you. Mr. Green, just a couple of questions. A month ago, you indicated that you were aware of the situation in which Tracy put makeup on the cheek of Gary Jr. Recall that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
And during that testimony, you said, in response to one of Ms. Weingard's questions, because that's what she'd do. And I want to make sure that we're clear. Were you aware of any other time ever that Tracy applied makeup to a handprint of the cheek of Gary Jr.?
No.
Are you aware of any time when she did so with regard to any other of her grandchildren?
No.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Recross, if any.
None, thank you.
All right, thank you. May this witness be excused and released?
Yes.
Judge, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Additional witnesses today.
No additional witnesses today, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Anything further?
I have one issue that's not related to witnesses.
All right, it's an issue that does not need to be live streamed.
I don't know if it does or not. I just want to inform the court and Mr. Ashcraft that we're going to be filing a motion today. Is that something that needs to be live streamed?
That you're going to be filing a motion in this case today?
Yeah, yes.
One that we've not heard of before?
Well, you did hear hints of it yesterday during the oral arguments.
All right, so I think we can stop the live streaming then at